How's it going, guys? Today I'm going to show you guys 25 VALK cams that you guys can use in every single map in the rank rotation in less than 10 minutes. Okay guys, for the first tip, you guys can put a camera right here. This is going to help you watch hookah. The reason I like putting this cam here is because you can see all of hookah essentially, and from an attacker's point of view, they're not going to be able to see the camera. As you can see, it hides behind this little pole right here, so the camera's going to be invisible. And even if there's anyone repelled on the window, this camera is not visible as well. And as you can see, you can still see me clearly, even though I can't see the camera. Camera spot I like using Coastline is between these shelves right here and Sunrise. So you can just put the camera there. As you can see, you're going to be able to see a good lot of Sunrise. You can get a lot of great intel off this. And when it comes to an attacker's point of view, this camera is not really going to be visible just because of the lighting, and you're still going to be able to see anyone and hear anyone in Sunrise. Okay guys, for the next map, we have Border. I like putting a cam here personally. This is going to work really well for armory whenever you're defending it. As you can see, it kind of blends in well with just the light overall. I'm just going to show you guys so you guys can see literally all armory, even a little bit into office as well. So this camera can help you out a lot. As for the next camera spot, I put this camera in the main hallway, outside office, and break room. This camera is going to let you see all the hallway essentially. And this hallway is pretty common for attackers, especially when sight's upstairs. And as you can see, this camera is going to be really hard to notice just because of where it's at. And I just know to look there because I placed it there, but I can guarantee you attackers are not going to really be looking underneath that desk for a camera. Okay guys, for the next camera spot, I like putting this in master bedroom in Oregon. This camera is going to give you a lot of great intel. You can see the doorway, so you can see if there's anyone near it. You can also see a little bit in the walk-in closet, so if you're paying close attention, you can see when someone walks in there. Like I said, you can see the whole room. This camera is literally under the light post right here. And as you can see, it's not going to be really visible at all to the attackers, so this should help you out extremely well. Okay, guys, for the next camera spot, this one's pretty basic. I just like putting it in the corner right up here. So this camera is actually going to blend in really well, surprisingly, just with these like little wires that are alongside the wall right here. And what this camera is going to do, it's going to give you a lot of great intel on pillar, the main hallway, anyone that's trying to push it from construction, and anyone coming down backstairs essentially, you can see all this ground. And this little server right here is just going to help it blend in even more. As you can see all the side essentially. Anyone that walks in A from construction, the window into B, you can see the main wall if it gets open. Anyone coming from red or even trying to get inside from garage essentially, you can watch all this just on one camera. And as you can see, it's gonna be pretty difficult to spot the camera. I'm looking at it because I know where I put it, but attackers are not going to be looking there for a camera. This camera is going to be really helpful in terms of helping dealing with anyone that's trying to get the hatch above if you're defending base. So you can literally just put it here. You're going to be able to see a little bit of movement into kitchen. You hear footsteps, you'll know where they're coming from. And like I said, if there's anyone right next to the hatch, you can see them. And as you can see, this camera is not visible at all below this, so this could help you get some great info as well. I like using these lamps a lot because they just hide the camera really well. I'm just show you. So with this camera, you can just hide in the lamp. This will help you see the hallway, essentially, if anyone's coming up yellow stairs. And you can also see anyone who's trying to make their way into office or even the small room right here. And like I said, from an attacker's point of view, you're not going to be able to see this camera, so it's going to be very hard for them. So a lot of times we have attackers come in this hallway as well, whether it's from office or just up these stairs. So the other camera you guys can put is actually on the pot plant right here. This camera is going to help you a lot. You're going to see the whole hallway, and it's going to blend in pretty well with its surroundings, so attackers probably won't be able to see this camera as well. Alright guys, for the next camera spot, I like putting this camera in lobby, so I just throw it directly on this pillar right here. This camera is going to help you see all lobby, essentially. And it's just going to give you a lot of great intel, and it blends in really well with the column as well. Camera spot, this camera is going to cover all the square and the skylight as well. I always put this camera right here. This camera just blends in really well with that lamp, essentially, just because of the lighting. As you can see, it's very difficult to see comparing one to the other. And if you get on the camera, you can see all the square, essentially, skylight as well, anyone below. And if any attacker's coming from this door right here, it's just going to be almost impossible to see. Okay guys, I'm going to show you guys my two favorite cam spots to use in Canal now. So for the first one, I use it in sight essentially. So I just put it here. This camera, what it's going to do, it's going to allow you to see the breach top red essentially, sight overall. So it can give you it can help you cover a lot of good ground. And if there's any attackers coming from the breach, as you can see, this camera is going to be almost impossible to notice because of the lighting. For the hallway right here, so what I do, I put it right here. So this camera is gonna hide itself really well here with the railing, and any attackers coming from red or there are not gonna be able to shoot it just because the railing's there. So even if they notice it, which most of the times they don't, they're not gonna be able to shoot it just because of the railing. If you guys are enjoying the video so far, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let me know down in the comments below what other videos you guys want me to do. Okay, guys, for the next camera spot, I like putting it behind this plant right here. Just make sure it doesn't hit the plant directly or it will fall. With this camera, you can see all the solarium, the stairs, the double windows, and anyone trying to get in bathroom or even sight overall. And the reason why I like this camera is because it works really well and you can't see the camera behind the leaves of the plant. Okay guys, now in Chalet, I really like using this camera for library hallway, so what I do is I'm just going to put it right here. As you can see, the camera's going to hide itself a little bit with the plant that's hanging above. This camera is going to let you see all of blue, essentially, little bits of library, and anyone coming up library stairs. And as you can see, this camera is going to be pretty difficult to spot, just because of the plants. As for the first camera spot, I like using this one in bakery. Just put it underneath the table. Basically, this camera is going to allow you to see all of bakery. If you're paying attention, you'll see someone if they go in this area, just because this is knocked over, but don't worry about that. This camera is going to work really well. And attackers coming from the door, as you can see, they're not going to be able to see this camera. Alright guys, for the next camera, I like putting it underneath this table and dining room. As you can see the whole hallway, essentially all the way down to small bake from here. And any attackers trying to look for this camera, if they're getting hard ping, it's just going to be really difficult just because of where it is. Alright guys, the next camera, I like putting this in the machine on the second floor yellow hallway. You can see a little bit into the kids' room, a little bit into the cafe right here essentially. And you can see the whole hallway basically if you guys are defending upstairs and there's attackers trying to sneak in here. Alright guys, so the next camera, this camera is going to cover Dragon essentially in theme park. You can see the whole room basically of Dragon overall, and this camera is really high up and it's going to be difficult for attackers to spot it. As long as you're not hard pinging it, they should not be able to see it. Cool camera spot I use pretty often in study. I just put it right here. Guys, and I kid you not, the attackers literally never find this camera. And you can just use it the whole time. You can watch study window, study door, and I usually put a pre-placed C4 right here essentially as well, so if any attackers coming through the door, I just blow them up. And just the lighting is really going to help you deal with the camera. Guys, the other camera is actually going to be in kitchen this time, so I'm just going to put it right here. This camera works really well. You can see all of kitchen essentially. You can watch a little bit into the small pantry. And this is a pretty common area for attackers to see. And if attackers just end up taking control of sight, they're not going to be able to see this camera clearly. A good camera spot you guys can also use downstairs is just put it underneath this couch literally. And you guys can see the hallway essentially right outside sight. And attackers won't really be looking for a camera on the ground, so this camera should work really well against you. Okay, now in Outback, a really good camera that you guys can put down is here on that light. This camera is going to help you see all of Bull and Shark and just the other side of the map whenever you're defending Laundry. You could also use this camera if you're defending Garage as well.
10 seconds remaining.
And as you can see, this camera is going to be almost impossible to find. Here. The lighting is really going to help you with this camera overall. As you guys know, most of the time attackers like opening this breach right here and just walking into IT. You guys can put a pre-place like underneath here and use this camera for intel. That's what I usually do. And like I said, this camera is just gonna help.
10 seconds left.
Like I said, the lighting is really gonna help you with this camera being invisible.